I'm Davy. I'm awesome. Welcome to Davy's Awesome Wrestling, where I review wrestling-related things, all from the perspective of a fan, not an insider. So it's been a while since I've done one of these, and now I've got perfect companies to do them against. Not that long ago, we just had NXT AAA Worlds Collide. Well, I'm more interested in their belts colliding. First, the criteria. As you watch this video, you got to keep in mind, none of this has anything to do with the prestige of either championship. It's all about my personal opinion as how they look design-wise. That's it. Now, not every belt from AAA is going to be featured in a head-to-head battle because they have more titles than NXT. But I have gotten it into 6 categories. And in 6 categories, I'm going to put NXT's championship against AAA's in that category. So, strap in. It's time for another belt battle. First category, uncategorizable. It's what I do when I have championships that I really can't put in a category, and I put those up head to head. So starting with NXT, since AAA does not have a women's mid-card championship, the NXT Women's North American Championship. I actually really like the Women's North American Championship a lot more than I like the Men's North American Championship. Probably because the strap is smaller and sleeker, and I think the men's would look a lot better if it was like that. Not just to mention, with that white strap, that design looks really well, especially with the red coloring backing the globe. It kind of pops more. It honestly makes me wonder how much better the Men's North American would look with just some sleeker straps and maybe a different color on that strap. Like black, maybe. But either way, I do like the Women's North American Championship. On AAA's side, that was a little bit more difficult because they had 2 championships I couldn't categorize. I had to pick one. It was between the World Mixed Tag Team Championship, which was a little difficult because, as we know, it's a mixed tag team. So when a team wins it, the man's is the blue one and the women's is the red one. But it was either that or the World Trios Championship, which, of course, NXT doesn't have either of these. And I'm not gonna lie, I hope it stays that way. I'm not big on the concept of a mixed tag team championship or a World Trios Championship. So it just came down to, between the 2 of them, I went with the World Trios Championship because I think it looks a little bit better than the mixed tag team championship. But ultimately, I gotta admit, I'm not a big fan of this belt. The front plate design is so bulky in certain places and everything, it just doesn't really go together. And then the strap itself, I've talked about it many times in the past, I'm not big on colored straps. White usually works, sometimes red works, but I usually just prefer a black strap. In this case, it's the colors of the Mexican flag. It's red, white, and green. Red on one side, green on the other side, white right in the middle. And I think it just clashes so much. Not to mention with the light gold in the middle of the plate, right on the white, it blends too much. Right there, it doesn't clash at all. It doesn't pop. Kind of just blends into the belt a little bit. So I had to say, of the 2, I wouldn't say I like it more than the Women's North American Championship. So in uncategorizable, gonna have to give it to NXT, making it NXT 1, AAA 0. Next category, the Divisional Championships. I made this a category as these are championships that not everybody can go for. It's a divisional thing. Sort of. For NXT, the NXT Heritage Cup. I know anybody can compete for the NXT Heritage Cup, but it's specifically defended with British round matches, and I hate that this is still around. I absolutely hate the Heritage Cup. I didn't like it when it came around in NXT UK. I liked it when I thought it was just a one-time tournament. They're going to do some British rounds matches. Somebody's going to get a trophy. Cool. But when it became clear that that was going to be their mid-card championship, I was like, that's dumb. This is wrestling. They compete for championship belts, not trophies. And then when NXT UK just kind of fused with NXT, went away, I could not believe they kept this. And they've been defending it, and they've been acting like it's something that the rest of us should care about, even though I don't like to sit there and say everybody has my opinion, but I have yet to encounter one person who's like, I like the Heritage Cup. I think everybody thinks it's dumb. That versus the AAA World Cruiserweight Championship. Here's the thing about the World Cruiserweight Championship. Like I mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned many times, I'm not big on colored straps. I don't usually like them. I usually like a classic black, maybe a white, sometimes red works. This is the only championship I can ever think of where it has a green strap, and that works. I actually like this championship. I mean, it's not one of my favorites or anything, but just somehow that front plate, with the dual plating by the way, the gold and the nickel, plus the red coloring on back of that green strap, it pops. I think it would probably look better with a black strap, but I still like this, and I think it works. I didn't even like the WWF European Championship when it first debuted because of that green strap. When it went to black, I was like, okay, now I like this. But this one is a beautiful championship. But the thing is, even if it wasn't, even if it was a disgustingly horrible looking championship, it's still a belt and not a trophy, so it automatically wins. So, in divisional, AAA wins, making it NXT 1, AAA 1. Then in the tag team division, the NXT Tag Team Championships. Something I don't understand why they have not had a redo. They debuted these around the time of the debut of the NXT North American Championship. Since then, the NXT Men's and Women's Championships have been updated twice. The NXT Cruiserweight Championship went away. We got the NXT Heritage Cup. And the women have gotten a North American Championship, and yet they just don't update these. They're better than the ones they replaced, but they're kind of boring. Like, they have the dual plating, and that's nice, but again, they're kind of boring. And it just weirds me out, like, why of all belts can't these get an update already? But on that note, I still like them. I'm just kind of bored of them. Versus the AAA World Tag Team Championships. I really, really like these championships. Always have. I like the stones making out the colors of, again, the Mexican flag. You got what I'm guessing are supposed to be emeralds, but I'm pretty sure they're not real emeralds, on one side, rubies on another side, and a diamond at the top. Red, white, green. You got the red, white, and green banner with the AAA logo on the front plate. So you got plenty of color, but not too much. I don't like too much color on the plate, but enough to where, again, it just clashes perfectly. And then it's got that black strap. I like at the top, it almost looks like a crown, sort of. The little spiked ends there. There's definitely more thought put into this championship than there was the NXT Tag Team Championships. Which is why I'm going to have to say, in the tag team division, AAA wins again, making it NXT 1, AAA 2. In the mid-card division for NXT, the Men's North American Championship. I have never liked this title. I know when Triple H first debuted it, and he was still running NXT, he was trying to do a throwback look to the big green belt, which apparently he really loves. With the Men's North American Championship, not only is the strap just way too big, it would look better if it was sleeker, the color of the strap is bad. Like I said, sometimes red works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it doesn't, especially because it's such a faded red. And not to mention, again, there's good clashing and there's bad clashing. The gold with that red does not clash well. The black coloring in the globe, it just doesn't work. I've never liked this. I've been waiting for them to update it. That was the one thing that made me sad about the Women's North American Championship, was with that coming out, I was like, they're probably not updating that championship for quite a while. Versus for AAA, the Latin American Championship. This is a really nice looking belt. I mean, I will say, with all the pointy edges, I wouldn't want to be a wrestler having to hold this belt, because that would probably get annoying, but it looks nice. I like the little octagon in the middle shape with Mexico and South America there, making it very clear what they're representing. I like the designs in the middle of the side plates. It's just, again, an all-around good-looking belt that clashes perfectly. There's color, but there's not too much. Yes, it's a little bulky, but not gaudy. Just bulky a little here and there. It's hands down way better than the North American Championship, so gonna have to give this to AAA. Making it NXT 1, AAA 3. The women's category for NXT, the Women's Championship. This is the newest version since they went to the CW, and it looks to me like it's kind of like a mixture design of the previous NXT championships and the current UFC championships, since they're owned by the same company, which then again at this moment so is AAA. It was definitely an improvement over the 2.0 championship, looking like they let a kid design that. But still, it's kind of plain, you know, not much to it. Which seems to be the thing with NXT. They just don't put that much effort into these. Even the World Championships, it seems like just slap an NXT logo on it and we're good. Another thing I don't like about this one is with the white strap, it does blend in a little bit too much with the gold and the nickel. It's kind of that black coloring that lets you know that there is a main plate because it blends a little bit too much. Versus AAA's Reina de Reinas Championship. Again, with this championship, I actually love it. I even like the name of it. I think that's kind of cool. Instead of just simply the Women's Championship or some places the Women's World Championship, this one, Reina de Reinas. Translation, Queen of Queens Championship. I think that's kind of cool. And it works because the top of it kind of has that crown look, kind of like with the Tag Team Championship. With the plates, whether they're nickel or gold, I kind of usually like it to be either dual plated or gold. I don't usually like a straight nickel plate, but in this case it does work, especially with the purple coloring in it. Again, it just looks really, really beautiful. It looks really, really nice. It looks like something for a queen. So again, I'm going to have to give this to AAA, making it NXT 1, AAA 4. Which brings us to the final category, the men's. For NXT, the NXT Championship, which looks exactly like the women's, except the black strap instead of a white strap. Which I think works better because, again, with the nickel and the gold plating, it pops a little bit more. It's much more noticeable. However, I feel with the plating, you know, it's just nickel and gold and then some black. I feel like it could have done it better with a little splash of color, but it was definitely an improvement over the too colorful 2.0 championship. But it's not their best NXT championship ever. It's just kind of plain, just kind of there. NXT champion. No frills. Versus the AAA Mega Championship. I am not a huge fan of this championship, honestly. I mean, it's kind of cool that they did the octagon shape to represent, I guess, the six-sided ring that they started using. They don't use it exclusively, but Mexico's the one that came up with it. But I kind of have the same issue that I have with the NXT Men's Championship, in that it's just a little too plain. Like, it's got more design going on wise, but on television you can hardly see it because it's just straight gold on black. No coloring, even black, to kind of make anything pop out. So like I said, on television, the only way you kind of notice any of the other like Aztec looking design on it is if it's kind of dirty. Again, it's not like it's a horrible looking championship. I just think that there's just not enough going on. It's kind of plain looking. So it comes down to which of these two plain looking championships do I like better? I guess I'd have to go with the NXT Men's in this one. Making it to where the final tally is NXT 2, AAA 4. Making AAA the clear winner in this belt battle. So maybe think about that, NXT. WWE just bought out AAA. They're having you do shows together. Maybe you need to update your belts so they compete a little bit better. Because in the belt battle, AAA whoop your ass. So there you have it. That's my wrestling video this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit the little bell so you get notifications for when I post the videos. And leave a comment I can respond to in my next comment corner. Tell me if you agree with my rankings. Tell me if you disagree. Tell me which ones you thought were better or worse. Love you guys.